Hello, everyone, and welcome to Before the Wheel podcast. If you have been watching my show for some time, you know that I always try to invite guests who are quite unconventional, as in that there is no clear roadmap to be in the position they are in. For instance, there is no roadmap to become a brahmachari, or there is no roadmap to become a marathon runner. There is no a formal education, which is present as of now. So this time, our guest is Kanan Sundarajan, aka Coach K. I met Coach K in last February. He was organizing one of the marathon in Yerkad. So not only he organizes marathon, he runs academy for runners, in which he helps the new runners, even the experienced runners, to attain their next goals. He's also a motivational speaker, and before he joined this new world of running coach, he was working as a IT professional, and long time back he just realized that this is not something he wants to pursue, and now he's running his academy. He's also doing online coaching for runners, and he's also an event organizer for a lot of marathons happening in India. Uh, Quite an interesting fellow. I met him only once, but I knew he would be a good addition to this show. So let's talk to Coach K, and please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Uh, I, I I never say this because I feel that if content is good, and if the guests which are coming on the show are good, people are definitely gonna subscribe. I have been told that it's always best to tell people that please subscribe to this channel. So here you go. Okay, so let's talk to Coach K. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Today we are joined by Coach K. His real name is Kanan Sundarajan, but people know him by the name of Coach K. And he is doing lots of stuff. He's a ultra marathon runner. He's motivational speaker, and he also runs an academy which helps runners to become better at running. And I met him almost 6 months back when I was doing my first trail marathon in Yerkad, Tamil Nadu. And he was the person who was in charge of doing that entire event. So, welcome, coach. Welcome to the show.
Hey, hi, Aman. Good morning, and thank you so much for having me on your show. Really happy for this.
Thanks for coming, sir. Thanks for coming. So, first question: how you are doing your runs now in lockdown? How you are managing your long runs and your practice during this time?
First of all, there is no running involved for two reasons. Of course, the lockdown has provided us an opportunity to stay at home responsibly, to be safe, and also maintaining the social distancing. Um, Secondly, I underwent a small microsurgery on my
Oh,
knee back in November. Yes, back in November, I managed to tear my medial meniscus. It's a sports injury, I would say trauma. Um, I am in the path of recovery. It's almost 6 months since the surgery had happened.
okay.
So the timing is probably perfect. I would probably blame the coronavirus for me not running than my medial meniscus injury.
Right, right, right.
So I'm not running. Of course, there are a lot of other activities that I do to keep myself fit and active. I use this as an opportunity to take a step back, and in fact, I also for my academy members, I launched a program called Reconstruct the Foundation.
Right.
So to say that I'm not running, but I'm actually working towards strengthening my foundation, fitness, my mental attitude, and also my approach towards running. When the running season begins, when the lockdown eases, and I'm sure that's the time I'm going to put my skills to test. And I'm also hoping that by the time the entire madness around the coronavirus ends or kind of settles down, I also have a stronger knees to
Right.
recover running, because that's something that I've been missing since a very long time.
Right, right. And this is also very weird time for everyone. Uh, and I have seen that especially in my locality, people are still trying to get their early morning runs. Yeah, but I don't understand. Is it really safe to run when, for example, if I'm running on a track and there's other person coming from the front? And there's always this, risk in your mind that okay, I am doing this running and I'm doing exhaling and inhaling very uh, aggressively. So there's always a chance of getting infected, is if that's the right word. So do you think this is the right assumption, that if you're running and other person is also running, some other person is running and maybe running along with you, or maybe coming from the opposite side, so we should avoid that? And I think this is something which I was thinking before even talking to you, that how will I start my running now, because there is no visible end to this so-called lockdown, and even if it's lifted, there will always be some risk involved. So how do you see it?
Well, I think whether to run outdoors or not can be decided only if you can understand what this COVID virus is all about and how it can spread. There are a lot of research done, and I'm not a scientist, I'm not a researcher, but I go by the advice that is coming from the health departments, CDC, from the US, and also our own Indian government health department advisory in terms of maintaining the social distance. So if I'm talking to somebody, I know that the virus can transmit through the droplets, from this saliva, and also when we are sneezing, when we are coughing. So this is the means in which the virus can transfer from one person to another person. So this is something known to all of us. But when you're running, and of course there is an increased demand for oxygen, our breath rate is very high. We're also sweating. The body fluids can kind of go all around us. The wind direction makes a lot of it plays a crucial role. How fast you're
Right.
running, what exactly is your proximity to other person, and are you running in crowded streets and all. Anyway, so the generally the advice is to stay home and exercise in a safe environment where there is nobody else in contact with you.
Right.
And also wearing mask is something, one of the recommendations, but definitely wearing mask while exercising is not a good idea.
No. No.
Of course, we need to breathe a lot of air, and oxygen is very vital if you're exercising. So you don't want to block the airflow. I think all of us, as athletes, as fitness enthusiasts, should act a bit more responsibly. Do not run. Try to pick up something else that will keep you active, and accept this scenario. This is a new norm for the entire world, and we have to change. You cannot simply brood about, oh my God, what happened to all my running muscles? What happened to all my cardiovascular uh, system that I've developed and kept? And I'm sure most of the runners in India, marathoners, would have run their Delhi marathon. From my academy, I can quote some references, and most of them have run the Delhi marathon. So they were like at a peak of their fitness performance, and then suddenly 10 days later they are asked to stay home and shut down. And this is like a very challenging time as a runner. I think that is because our passion for running, when it turns into an obsession, so that's where our brain shuts down, accepting the new norm. The new norm is to stay safe,
Right.
stay quiet, and probably do something that is other than running. But I can still develop my cardiovascular system. I live in an apartment. I can go up and down in the apartment stays. It's 15 floors. I can still develop my cardiovascular system. And of course, you're going to lose everything that you gained as a runner. But hey, the world is different. Everybody is suffering. Just look at yourself. You're able to think about exercising, but there are people who do not even have houses, and they're all stuck in different places, struggling to reunite with their family members. Just have a broad view around what is happening, and running becomes too small to consider.
True, true. Very well said. And I think this is the reason now I can see that there is an all-time high demand of equipments for indoors activities. I can see that people are buying gym equipment. They're buying treadmill and other stuff for their home because there is no other way to get their workout done. So I think people are slowly trying to move towards this concept that okay, now we are not gonna run for a while, so why don't we buy something which we can use to work out at home itself. So I think there is a bit change in the people mindset also. I think it was tough to do it in the first few weeks, because we thought okay, it's just a matter of few weeks and now it's gonna be fine in some few weeks. But I think this is the new reality when we don't know when it will be uh, we can you say back to the normal. It will take some more time. So sir, let's talk about your journey. And I was talking to even before also that how long you have been doing this, and so let me ask you what uh, prompt you to leave your very good career in IT, because generally people start earning very good bucks once they enter that cross that first 10 years of experience. As a fresher you earn very less, and once you enter that golden period 10 to 15 years. So that time when you were there and you said that you quit your job, so can you tell us how it happened and why you quit your highly lucrative job and enter into this world of running?
Okay. Well, first of all, I did not resign because I did not like what I was doing. But I quit. I decided to take a chance with myself because I was liking something more than what I was doing at that time. So that was generally the world of fitness excited me, world of running excited me, the opportunity for me to learn something new and also share my knowledge with others to help them adopt a very meaningful lifestyle. A lot of our life goals can be achieved if our mind is healthy, our physical body is healthy. I thought I had transformed myself as a runner, as a good person, as a good project manager because of my ability to understand the difficulties involved around, let's say, ultra marathon running. So the marathons and ultra marathons have taught me a lot of things, and it also made me appreciate my own life, and it gave me an opportunity to look at myself from different angles. And I, throughout my life, I always enjoyed teaching others. I enjoyed calling others and sharing, hey, you know what, this is something that I learned and I want to share with you. And maybe there was some coolness associated with that because when people learned something, they said, hey, thank you so much. I really liked what I learned from you. Or you gave me an idea for learning something else.
Right.
And also, if you look at my career as a job, the initial 7.5 years I worked in an engineering company, and I had a lot of opportunity to learn a variety of things. I never liked doing one thing in my life. I always looked for learning more and more. A constant learner. Of course, that also made me a jack of many trades, and I never became an expert in one area. Um, so that learning opportunity gave me different perspective, and it also gave me a lot of confidence that at any age I can learn something new. I also learned something new from every single individual who I interact with. I'm interacting with you. I had spoken to you a couple of times in the past. I've learned something new from you. I think the opportunity for all of us to learn from each other is immense. And I think these are few reasons what made me some people would even call it as an arrogance that okay, he's overly confident about what he's doing. But I would never treat that as an arrogance, but I would treat that as a very strong belief system that keeps telling me that I can learn anything anytime. And I also decided to take, as far as others are concerned, a huge risk in my life. And of course, I have two lovely children. My son is 18 now, my daughter is 13. And of course, I have a family to take care. Um, the thought of can I start something from zero at let's say after 24 years of working, that gave me an excitement because I never ran a marathon in my life until 2012 December, when that was the first time I ran a full marathon. I never ran an ultra marathon. Never running was never part of my life. But when I learned running in a very structured manner, when I started appreciating what running can do to me in terms of confidence, health benefits, and also the excitement, it gave me a new idea, understanding that if I can, from not a runner to become an ultra marathon within 2 3 years, can I become an engineer, product manager, solution architect, project manager, business process consultant, competency manager, delivery manager. So these are different roles that I play to a coach, to a fitness expert. I want myself to be uh, identified as an expert in one area. This was a long desire because I always thought that I was kind of doing too many things. But remember, this hasn't gotten better. Okay, I continue to do a lot many things even now. But I think the confidence that I had at that time to jump out of what I was doing really good. And I certainly had a good job, recognized very well as a good manager, a good leader within my organization in Siemens. I have great respect for the people who supported me, and the idea of jumping out of doing something so comfortable to do something very uncomfortable, because that's what ultra marathons are all about, right? So you end up doing a lot of uncomfortable things, but you have to become comfortable with that. That's exactly what I did.
Right.
And in fact, when I quit my job, many of my colleagues said, "Hey, okay, I think you finally found that opportunity in Canada, or you're going to the US, or you're going to go to some other organization. What's the package like? Are you going to become a director? Are you going to start your own company in the PLM or kind of delivery domain?" But then I told them, no, I don't even know what I was going to do at that time. I didn't have any clarity of what I was going to do. But the only thing was, I was very confident that whatever I end up doing, I would put my heart out there and make it a successful one. So that's exactly what life has taught me, what ultra marathons have taught me. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing journey. So we were talking about even this concept that, like you just mentioned, that to surpass that mental barrier that you can do something. I always associate when you are going to marathon and anything above that, the ultra marathon and all, the person has to be mentally tough. And I've seen that people who are running full marathon and ultra marathon, they are equally mentally tough in other parts of their life also, not just into running. I've met people who are running full marathon and all, and they carry the same amount of mental fortitude in their life, other aspects, right? So the mind over body concept applies really strongly in the running. And I feel that when someone has been doing this for a while, like for you, do you see that only a mentally strong person can decide or can actually complete this full marathon or ultra marathon? I've yet to see a person who has run a full marathon and he is not equally mentally tough in outside running. Did you see it similar way?
Well, there is a lot of research being done to understand the mind, the mental strengthness. Let's say the mental strength of a person if he's a marathon runner. A lot of positive observations have been noticed. Many people who are runners uh, claim that they are able to deal with a lot of their life challenges in a much better manner. And So it's not that you need to be tough to run a marathon. See, the mental toughness is a factor of various things, right? It's about your mind's ability to understand and familiarize with certain idea. Running a marathon is very tough, but you don't learn how to run a marathon on the day of the marathon. You learn how
True.
to run a marathon during your training period, and your body becomes uh, kind of adapted to that kind of stresses. Your mind becomes adapted to the demands, the physical and also the mental demands that are needed on the race day. So you're basically developing over a period of time. So you run one event to another event. It's not that event to event you're developing something. It is the entire journey, the entire training process is going to make you tougher. So that's why I said um, running an ultra marathon is it's all in the mind. You're accepting that, okay, it's going to hurt me, it's going to make me feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to do this because there's somebody else who has done this, who claimed to have achieve something really great, right? So that is the reinforcement. If somebody else comes and says that you can do this, or if you go follow these 5 or 6 steps, you're going to achieve this. That gives a lot of confidence. So when you actually go run your first time, I can even ask you this question. So how was your experience when you ran your first 5 kilometers? Or first time when you went to even run any distance, you would have felt really kind of beaten up, right? If you've not done running throughout your life, if you're asked to run, you're not going to be comfortable. That's the same with any skill for that matter. It could be riding a bike, it could be taking your car on a mountain, but you've been driving all through your life on a plain area. So I think it's the mental toughness, something that you develop over a period of time, and then since your mind knows that you can beat that, you are not applying the same concept in other areas. It comes to you naturally. Okay, so even if it could be a financial crunch at your home, or your job is you're not happy with the job, or you had a very bad performance review with your boss, and your management is very upset, your business is not doing good. And now, if you're an ultra marathon runner, you know that it is only temporary, because the pain that you experience in a marathon is only for a short amount of time. You either cross those barriers. So, let's say if you're running an uphill, you're looking forward to reaching the top and then going down, and then it's going to be a happy moment. And you can't stay happy for a long time when you're going down, and of course another hill is going to come in front of you. So that can be related to what we all go through in our life. There is nothing like a happy moment, there is nothing like a sad moment, there's nothing that's going to stop you from enjoying the rest of your life. At the same time, there is nothing that's going to stop you from feeling that, oh my god, I'm going to be poor 10 years from now, or I'm going to be rich 10 years from now. So you can't I just like to live in the present moment. I like to enjoy this particular moment rather than thinking too far into the future. But we all need direction. Direction is really important. But the milestones is all, it's in the mind. Whether you're going to celebrate achieving, earning. I remember after I quit my job in the first month, my entire earning for the first month was about 6,000 rupees. And somebody who was earning in few lakhs, and suddenly you see that your monthly earning dropping to 6,000 rupees, that kind of gives a jolt. But for me, it was a happy moment, because I started from zero, and I was very happy that I got 6,000 rupees. I think that the mind is something that is constantly developing. The mental toughness is something that you're constantly developing, and it is not going to come only by running marathon. It can come from anything that you passionately do, but ready to do those little uncomfortable things, ready to take those risks, ready to take a lot of decisions in life rather than postponing them. Because if you don't take decisions, you're not going to learn from the mistakes that you're going to make, or even from the success of taking that decision. So this is exactly what the first thing that I learned when I started reading books at the age of I was probably 19 years. Yeah, so the Tony Robbins and Wake and the Giant Within, that's the first book I remember reading in my life, anything other than the subject books. And the art of making decision is something that I learned from that book, and it's really important. Even today, I follow that. You have to keep taking decisions, and that's what is going to make you a tougher person in this department.
Yeah, so means you're saying it's other way around. You are doing marathon not because you're mentally tough, but you become mentally tough because you're running a marathon, right?
Yes, it contributes to everything. It's kind of wheels within wheels, right? So, and of course, the result can be anything. It could be a DNF, or it could be DNS. You don't even start because you picked up an injury in the last 1 week to the marathon, but still go there, still go. And I've done this. I picked up injuries before. I remember before my first Comrades marathon, it was like I was so excited that I was even able to think about running an ultra marathon, which is considered to be one of the toughest, the largest race with almost 18,000 people participating in South Africa. And I was very confident that, oh my goodness, I could even come and stand in the start line. I don't know what's going to happen to me, but when I was standing there back in 2013, 2014 was the first time in Pietermaritzburg. I was injured. I was not ready to start, but I was not ready to finish the run. I knew that I was going to fail somewhere, but I was ready to experience that. Okay, so that's what the mental toughness is all about, right? So you go there, you experience it. It's very easy for me to have cancelled the trip and saved, whatever flight charges. If I have associated getting the medal as a success, then I would have cancelled my trip. But I associated experiencing that atmosphere, experiencing that moment where I don't even know what's going to happen to me, but I'm going to learn from that experience. And also, if I have not gone there, I wouldn't have learned something new. With that kind of an injury, as a coach, now I can advise people. I can tell people, okay, this is the kind of injury. Probably this is what could happen. So everything is kind of interconnected. So you develop your mental toughness by subjecting yourself to going through certain things rather than. So I always say this. I have this very strong belief system, right? You don't want to fail at the start line. Okay, you have to go plunge yourself into something that you've never done before. Fail somewhere on the course, but it's okay. It's a different result. Again, Tony Robinson says failure is actually a different result.
Right. The concept of running, it's really interesting to me. First of all, because there are many sports like that where you don't need any external equipment and you can do the exercise done. But running is something which is very primal to human beings, right? We long back when we were just hunter and gatherers, we were just roaming from here and there. The running was the only thing which we were doing in terms of a physical activity, right? There was no gym earlier, and even if you go back to 200 years back, there was nothing available, right? The concept of using these high-end machines and gyms and other exercises and all, they came recently, but running has been there forever, right? And when I was reading this article that we as a human being are not meant to run these long distance runs, right? And this is because on the theory that when we were evolving and we were like hunters, we were gatherers, so we used to run sprints to chase any animal, say any which we wanted to kill, to hunt. So we never ran for long distance, and this new concept of long distance came recently. And I was reading this, that how running long distance is something not very natural to us, and because our body is so flexible and it adapts to any kind of stress, we are doing so. But ideally, the evolution says that we never ran this long distance until in the last 100, 200 years. Do you agree with this kind of theory?
I'm going to agree with the one part of what you said, that we never ran this distances. Now, again, you need to be very specific when you say this distance. Is it a marathon distance or is it an ultra marathon
I
distance?
mean,
What distance are you
yeah.
talking
So
about?
like for example, if you just ignore the last 200, 300 years, we were only running. For example, even before that, last 1,000 years, we used to run only to hunt, right? Can be 500 meter, 300 meter at max. And this concept of running for long distance came recently. When I say recently, as in like in the overall history of evolution of human beings, it's like a small blip, right? And before that, there was no
Okay.
concept of running. I think the first marathon was done when some soldier in Greece ran from the battlefield to marathon to carry the message. I think that the first marathon was done.
Yeah.
So I was talking about that. And if you ignore this last 500, 600 years, before that, the running concept, running such these long distance were not there, and it just developed recently.
Certainly, yes. The purpose of running used to be locomotion. You want to go from point A to point B. Either an animal is chasing you or you're chasing something, right? The purpose was survival. People used to run or walk long distances because they want to either migrate or they want to run away from something. And or the catching playing is these are little games that we have already always played as children. Running was generally not seen as a recreational sport, and of course this is developed over a period of time due to the popularity that it gained due to marathons and Olympics. Olympics also contributed to the development of sports all across the world. And of course, product makers like Nikes and Adidas, and they also promote that, okay, when you wear a cool shoes, you can run faster, you can run longer. So the purpose of running is now changed. It's more of recreational. It is a sport. It's depending upon our lifestyle. We are not hunters anymore. We are knowledge seekers. We live in cities at the comfort of air-conditioned room and travel from one place to another place in a AC car and luxury car and Ubers. Uh, our purpose, there is no requirement for us to move by on foot, right? We don't need to move from point A to point B on foot. There is no compulsion. But now running is seen as an exciting way of identifying ourselves as a runner, as an ultra marathoner, as a very fit person, plus all the other life related complexities around obesity and heart related diseases, cholesterol issues, lifestyle issues. Even sitting is considered to be really bad. How do you really get out of all these things? Many people working in offices, so they do not run, they do not exercise. For them, time is important. Time is important. Everybody spends time wisely, but it's just that their focus on exercise is not so much. But when they see an opportunity to run in an event, there is a recognition factor, there is a psychological need, a social need for them to go and participate. It could be participating or running in an event for charity. You want to raise money or you want to contribute, you want to just go and experience. There's a lot of learning that is happening. A lot of messages can be communicated when you go and participate in a sporting event. And it gives an identity. Running has given me an identity, and I'm sure you are recognized as a runner. You've done an ultra marathon, so you know exactly what the affiliation around this topic can bring. I think it goes very well with any other habit for that matter. You know, some people enjoy the company of friends. You know, they just sit and watch movies and enjoy a drink or two, and you know maybe chat or travel to a mountain, do some hiking, or even you take your bike and go for long endurance cycling. So running, we are just talking running because we are connected with that topic, but it could be any sport for that matter. It could be football, it could be anything. Nobody played football, you know, maybe 300, 400 years as a sport. But now there is a recreational quotient, recreational element associated with that. There is a social angle associated with that. And then there are health benefits because we are also bombarded constantly by issues of sedentary lifestyle. You know, we see diabetes. People are dying at a much younger age due to blocks in their artery, and heart attack is very common, and a lot of other lifestyle complexities, lower back issues, and people lose their range of motion, and fitness is kind of become a very important topic these days. And probably that's one of the reasons why you see a mushrooming effect of all the sporting events. And even decathlon uh, kind of corporates, they came and gave us a different idea towards sports and fitness. Anybody can try anything. I never thought that I would even hold an archery, let's say bow and arrow. You go to decathlon, you can try that, a wobble board, or even a racing bike. I need to have a friend who has a racing bike to go and try it. But now today, I think the technology, the evolution, everything, the economy opening up brought us a lot of opportunities. But the one thing that I'm going to disagree with what you said is that humans are not designed to run. There are a lot of, again, scientific research done. I watched a video on Smithsonian lab, Smithsonian University. There are researchers who have really broken down our human anatomy to identify the individual functions of our muscles and skeletal system. Our glute muscle is designed to run. Otherwise, we are just using it for sitting. Our Achilles tendon is designed to run. That gives the required amount of stiffness and spring reaction forces. Our neck is designed to absorb those shocks. The way the neck moves when you're running, there's a lot of dynamic action that are involved in our body. Our human body is actually designed to run. Then one
Long
more very
distance. You mean
important,
long distance?
yeah, long distance. Yes, long distance. If you see the Bushmen in Kalahari, these are all quoted multiple times, right? So they run and walk multiple kilometers. They don't even have a Garmin or a Polar watch to track how long they walk and run. But their job is to endure. They're mentally very strong, so they have understood that the only way they can catch a fast-moving animal like a gazelle is to hunt it down by chasing it. The animal becomes tired, and as a human being, we don't become tired because we know exactly how to recover. We have the sweat glands which are responsible for cooling our body, and we are designed to run. I have a very strong belief, because this is what science has taught me, to believe that all of us are designed to run and born run. Of course, the elite category of runners, we always call them elite because they have certain genetic composition which is very different from a normal human being like me. But of course, it doesn't come free of cost, right? So they have to maintain, they have to train. If you look at some of the elites training, any sport, not to matter, they have certain advantages, but they also are very disciplined. They are training. Just going back to what you asked, yes, of course, running long distances, ultra distances is a kind of madness. I generally say that because if somebody comes and asks me, okay, should I do running marathons and should I run ultra marathon? And I say, hey, it's absolute idiotic idea to run an ultra marathon. But unless you know what you're getting into, don't sign up. Right?
Right.
It's an idiotic thing, because the reason why it is becoming complex is we are not ready. Somebody who aspires to become an ultra marathoner, I've seen there is this darshini in Bangalore. If you come, darshinis and restaurants. Darshinis are these small joints where you go buy idli. They give you in a bowl. You just quickly grab and then walk out. You don't even have time to sit. You have just that 10 minutes for you to have a bowl full of idli, maybe a masala dosa, and a coffee, and run out. You don't have time to sit there. This is for people who are crunched with time. But now the same darshini approach is taken for running a 5K to 10K to half marathon to ultra marathon. And I'm a race organizer, and I also have in my UT Ultra, I have certain qualification requirements. People like to run 60Ks, and I put a qualification requirement. Okay, you should have run a full marathon at least. There are many calls I get from people saying that I've never run a marathon, but I want to run UT Ultra because it gives me a lot of excitement. So that's the Darshini approach, right? So you want things to happen quickly. But our physical development adaptation takes multiple years for us to develop. So it is madness. It is a new thing that's happening all over the world. It's a good trend that many people are choosing an active lifestyle. But our human body is designed to run. Train responsibility, talk to a coach. I'm also a coach, and I have close to about 45, 50 people in my academy, coaching them on different aspects. And this is the advice that I give them. Do not try to get everything right now. This has to be a lifelong journey. So don't try to emulate somebody else. Okay, somebody else has achieved a greater heights in running, because generally the people who are seen as inspiration in the running community are the people who can run very fast. Okay, and of course somebody who can run really long. In between people are somewhere lost. Okay, everybody is an inspiration because they're all fighting their own battle. Okay, so keep running as your lifelong journey, and don't worry about whether my body is designed to run or not. It's certainly not designed to run if you do not train very well for it.
Right, right. But I feel like you said, there are certain benefits if your body of certain type. Obviously we see runners from African continent. They are almost won every single run happening, at least in India, right? You don't see that happening anywhere else. So definitely there is a physical advantages some people have over others, right? We are not, obviously we are born equal, but there are some genetical freaks. So I was just discussing this with my friend a couple of days back, that no matter how many times you run, no matter how much hard you train, there's always someone coming from Africa here and running the race, right? What is this I would say physical advantage that they possess over all the runners? You see that even in the international stages, even in in everywhere, not just India, right? You go everywhere, your Olympics and all. Runners from African continent, they always excel, in all the endurance sports, right? Do you think that Indian someone from India can reach that level? We recently saw someone broke the 2 hours mark, right? So I'm asking two questions in one shot. That first of all, that how is it possible that an Indian can reach an international level and basically surpass those genetically enhanced individuals from Africa, and what kind and how African runners have this advantage over everybody else in endurance sports?
See, you cannot beat the genetic advantage certain races of people possess. So, for example, Europeans are very tall, like 6 foot is like something common. But whereas in India, you won't find 6 footers. 6 footers are very rare. But we always have associated Japanese to be very short people. But now, if you really go, there is a genetic transformation that has already taken place, and people are quite tall. I was in Japan for almost 1.5 years, going there and coming. The first thing that I noticed was, no, Japanese are not very short. They are quite tall people. And in a restaurant, I was just standing to enter the restaurant, and I found everybody around me, all the Japanese were taller than I. Okay. And of course, Africa, there's a lot of research done in this area in terms of why Kenyans are very fast. In fact, in my Ultra Top 5 website, I have posted one article on why Kenyans are super fast, right? So this is just a collection of knowledge, and I'm not a scientist. I'm not a guy who deals with genetics or an anthropologist who studies human kind of, being.
Right, right.
Um, they possess certain genetic advantage. Their lifestyle is very different. They all live in, if you look at Eton, a place in Kenya, which is like the home ground of all the top 8 world records in, let's say, marathons or even short distance races. Um, they have certain advantages. They are skinny people. Their body composition is very different from an average person in India. They run a lot right from the childhood. Running is part of their life. They go from one place to another place. They run to their schools. They run to the market. Uh, because of poverty is another reason why they don't have bikes. Maybe if the country suddenly becomes rich, I don't know if the country can still produce a lot of great runners. There is a benefit of that kind of their economical stature. They are moving, and of course there is a lot of increased focus on the international community to develop more and more, breed more and more runners in that area. Uh, there's enough said about their capabilities, their food habits. They talk about ugalis, and they talk about organic meat, which is like chickens, and everything that they eat is very healthy.
Right.
And of course, if you really look at the lifestyle of people living in the city, you have access to nutritious food. So that's because of that. There is a lot of development that happens, and also lack of activity. So our body, I think there's some research done in Singapore that they found that the average weight of children, kind of teenage and below, has increased by zero point 0.5 kilograms over a period of 7 to 10 years. I'm not very clear about the number of years it took. That's again because of availability of food, availability, a lack of activity, physical activities, right? So our lifestyle plays a lot of. If you go to a village in India, and you can see really very fit people, right? So seeing a punch in their tummy is something very rare, and they are throughout the day they are tilling the soil or kind of busy chopping woods, or there is a lot of physical activity, right? So we are also killing our own genes by leading a lot of sedentary lifestyle. When compared to Kenyans, and it's only a small section of Kenyans that we are talking about who have the genetic advantage, but who are also training. It becomes a lifestyle for them because it gives them money. If they don't work in farms or if they don't perform in sports, there's no money, there's no income, there is no life to lead. But can Indians compete with Kenyans? I think it's a wrong fight, I would say. And I'm sure there'll be one or two individuals who are capable still. Maybe the talent is not identified yet, because at the grassroots levels, the talent identification is still a problem in this
Right.
country. And the second thing is, as sports, if you see the overall development of sports infrastructure, sports as an industry, it's going to take a long time now. There is a popularity in certain sports like cricket, badminton, and kabaddi is, of course, which has become quite popular now, the pro kabaddi leagues. And there are some sports which are gaining popularity, but certain sports like athletics and running is unfortunately, for some reason, associated for only poor people. Okay, so this is what I've learned. That I keep talking to a lot of these professional runners in an Indian context. So these guys basically they survive because they run from one event to another event. They travel from one city to another city. When they run, they win prizes. So that money feeds them their food and training and nutrition and everything. But if you see their education standards when compared to an average performing athlete in the US or in Australia or in the Europe, their education standards are very, very different. In US, a professionally competing athlete could have a college degree or a professional, kind of master's, even could be a research assistant in some university, maybe working in certain companies, but they are still competing at a professional level. But in India, if you look at, especially in the running space, a lot of good runners are coming from the army background because army respects their talent and they give them food, they give them shelter, they give them money. They also spend money on training. So it's very difficult to compare Indian versus Kenyans, a wrong comparison.
Right.
But I think it's too early to say that Indian athletes cannot beat Kenyans. But we have to have the system to develop and identify those talents and see whether we can compete with them. So right now we are not yet there as a country because the focus on sports development it lacks in a lot of grounds, a lot of complexities, a lot of bureaucracy involved. And just take Bangalore as a city. How many grounds do you have? How many track?
Right.
City of so many people living here. How many athletic stadiums we have?
Yeah.
A long way to go.
It's tough. When I was even doing this preparation for my run, I mean, there are hardly any professional place available for your running practice, right? You either have to go to some lake or some park, and there are always people, they are running at their own pace. They are kids and all. They're doing bicycling and all. And even though Bangalore is a very close to call as world class city in terms of because of its IT, we still don't have any sort of infrastructure available for runners, right? And it's same even in other cities. Like if you go to Delhi, you go to Gurgaon, everywhere you go, there is no clear. We have a couple of stadium here and there, but they are mostly occupied by athletes who are preparing for other games, right? So yeah, it's really tough to find a place in a city, especially to practice your long runs. Either you need to go to roadside
Yeah,
or you go to some.
even if you look at
Yeah.
sorry.
Please go ahead.
Even if you look at some of the universities and colleges, they boast their capabilities. Now they have the world class infrastructure. There is a Olympic swimming pool, indoor badminton court, a cricket stadium, a running track, or even a world class facility of gym. I think it has more marketing value than a real interest in developing athletes who will represent the country. And of course, everybody's priority is different. As colleges, they want to attract more and more students to come. The popularity is important. And then I think still India is struggling with the identity of developing more intellectual people rather than more physically capable people.
Right, and it also do something with the our oral culture, right? Like I was reading this that in US you have your NCAA, your National College Athletic Association, where if you are into high school and you have certain credit for your sports activities, you will get full scholarship, right? And then because they already have that kind of a system available since their school, they excel really well once they enter they later in their life. And that's why you see they they choose this thing since they are in school, and because they get that kind of environment available in their school. A couple of my friends who are doing their masters there in US, they were telling that even a small, normal school which you see in US, they have a stadium better than which you can see in India in terms of their athletics facilities and other things and gyms and all. It's far superior than your best gym which you can find in Bangalore, and that is something which we are lacking.
No, see, I think it's also the way we are brought up by our parents and the society. Culturally, there is a lot of differences. Now, I had an opportunity to um, tour with a group of students from Australia. So they're all connected with the sports industry. They are physiotherapists, nutritionists, coaches, and from the Richmond Tigers is very pop. It's like the IPL Chennai Super Kings of Australia, right?
Okay.
So they are into AFL, the Australian Footy League, and I had an opportunity to tour with these people. I found a lot of unique things. All the 1920 kids, I would still call them as kids because they were like, the age range was about, let's say, 18 to 21. Um, they were national level players. They were coaches who were aspiring to represent the country and go and be part of their kind of professional um, kind of needs that the country at the country level, right? So then there are few others who are running their own gyms. They're all connected with sports. As teenagers, if I compare them I was with them for almost 10 days. And every single day I would spend with them almost 6 to 7 hours. Every single minute, they talk something about sports. They talk something about the games that they would play. They talk something about some sporting event that they all were part of and what really happened. They're always talking about sports and in a very playful manner. But if I compare that with a bunch of, let's say, 16, 17-year-old to 21-year-old Indian kids, our interests are very different. It could be more intellectual, could be more subjects other than sports. Okay. Uh, I'm not saying who is better here. There's no comparison between the Australian kids who love sports all the time, the Indian kids. We are not talking about sports all the time. But if you're, why are they so different with regards? We are talking about sports and fitness, and why they're so different? Because right from the childhood, they are exposed to an environment which is all about fitness, sports, and team sports, contact sports, winning. The concept of learning something, they also develop attitude. They also are very intellectually superior. They develop a spirit for team and leadership. They develop everything they develop through sports. There's a cultural difference there. Okay, and of course, we are trying to compete with uh, other countries who are much more superior in terms of their cultural values and their attitude towards sports. Okay, so that's going to take a lot of time. But there is a change that is already happening in India, and I have coached a few kids who are in the age of, let's say, 13 to 16, helping them with their badminton kind of skills and ability. I've helped a girl who wants to professionally play badminton with her fitness, a cricketer aspiring to become kind of represent under 16 and go and play at the school and college level. Their parents have invested a lot of money. Unfortunately, if you do not invest a lot of money, you cannot learn a sport in this country. So that is another problem because the schools do not have the right infrastructure, or even if they have infrastructure, unfortunately, the coaches are not ready to develop. They are there to conduct classes with 45 minutes, 30 minutes of engagement. They are able to do that, but they are not able to develop the world-class athletes because they themselves do not have the right qualification. And of course, if you want to bring in experts, the universities and the schools will have to start spending more. And this is a whole attitude different. I think there are a few schools which have started doing this.
Right. And I was talking to one of our world-class boxer, Manish Kaushik, in last episode. So he won medal in Commonwealth Games 2018, and now he is qualified for coming Olympics. And he was telling me that he was basically our army came into touch with him, and they army basically gave him a job, and because of that he's able to continue his training. And he was just explaining that how it's tough for any athlete to continue their training without a job. And because once you are out of college, you need a job, right? They cannot keep just continue training. Of course there are a couple of options available from your government side. They pay you, they make sure you are into a camp, but it's tough without. And I was asking him that what you would have done if you were, just training without this army job. He was saying it will be very tough. It will be very tough, and because no matter what we say, still there is a long gap between the training facilities in India compared to other countries, and still we are able to get few medals. Like he's from Bhiwani, and Bhiwani is now hub for boxing and your wrestling, and but yeah, if you leave that exception, I have yet to see this kind of environment anywhere else in India where people are getting up for sports since they are into school. Yeah. So you mentioned about the overall sentiment of runners in India, right? So I have noticing this culture of runners in India. It is definitely getting better in last couple of years, and but I still see that whenever I go to any marathon, I've been to marathon in Delhi, I've been marathon in Hyderabad and all. I still see that we still don't have. If you leave couple of runs like your Airtel marathon, I think they're the best run which I have ever experienced. Right? Still, we are nowhere compared to a level of runs. For example, if you talk about world class marathons like your New York, your London, and other things, your big fours, right? And we are still nowhere near to that. Do you think we need to have a world class event, like for example the Indian version of New York marathon, to basically inspire people, or to promote running in India? Or do you think it's possible to even have that without uh, organizing a bigger event like we have in New York and London?
Well, it's not true that we do not have a world-class running event. If you really look at the Tata Mumbai Marathon, some of the events organized by Procam, it attracts a lot of international runners and a lot of Indian runners. It's kind of the golden standard in India, right? So even if it's AIMS gold recognized tracks, the Mumbai Marathon course, and um, it is definitely, if you look at the number of years, the history and the legacy of let's say, the world majors and some of the largest marathons, like Comrades marathons, now you're talking about 100 years now. Next year, it's going to be 100 years.
Right.
And 45 years, 50 years, there is a legacy associated with these events. And our Indian marathon scene is in 20 years. And of course, we are getting there in terms of standards and popularity. Some of our events can bring a lot of international runners. I think, in my opinion, the world-class term, it depends in the mind of the race director and the organizing teams. You can conduct an event just for 45 people and still make it a world-class event. The experience will have to be world-class. So when you say world-class, what do we really mean by that? Right? I think the definition needs to be very clear. Is it just the number of people participating, or is it the experience that they get? The experience that they get elsewhere is provided here. You don't need to travel outside India to get the same experience. And of course, that attitude change has to come within the minds of the race organizers. Just move away your focus from making money, or just claiming that, okay, even I have conducted a marathon event. Move away from that focus. And of course, organizing marathons is also becoming a professional opportunity for many budding race directors and race organizers, so which is a good trend. In India, there are a lot of events that are organized. Every week you can see, minus this lockdown, every weekend you will see a running event happening somewhere, like 400 people participating, 300 people participating. I think the race directors or the organizer, if they have the world-class attitude, still you can produce world-class events. It doesn't matter whether you're getting only 45 people in your event or there are 30,000 people here. The care that you need to, the amount of care that you show to every single runner will have to remain the same, irrespective of the number. And
Yeah.
still, our events can be world class.
So why I was talking about this is that I have been to many marathon in last few years, and I don't want to throw any name under the bus, but I think their always the main motto is to earn money, and because they have many categories, your 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon, and I think their majority of the people, they earn money from your 10K and 5K, right? If you say if there are 5,000 people, coming to this marathon, so this event, so at least 70% will be in the category of your 5K and your 10K, and then maybe 20% in your half marathon, maybe 10% in your full marathon. So they mostly focus on those small categories, your 5K and 10K. And again, like I have been to a couple of marathons, and I noticed that once they're done with the 5K and 10K, and then they say like, okay, now only 100 people are left, then they're running half marathon or maybe running full marathon, and there's not even water available in some of the events. And I have seen that, not just in my case, but my friends who are running marathon in different cities, they have felt similar kind of experience. So until unless we have only one event which is only for full marathon, right? For example, now if you go to London and New York, there is no 10K there. Is there? I don't think so. They only run full marathon. So what I was going to have, we should have a event only for full marathon and full marathon only. And if we can create this kind of event, and maybe just say sort of a advice for you also, if you can do this for us, only a full marathon event that will only call for qualified people and professional people who are serious runners. I mean, that I meant by the world class event. Of course there is amenities and other stuff and experience, but yeah, I mean, if I talk about a world class event, that means only full marathon category and no 5K, no 10K, no half marathon.
I'm going to disagree with that because the reason is, if you look at the running as a journey for this country, it's only last 15, 20 years. If you really look at the number of people who started running, assume that if all the events that are conducted in India are offering only full marathon, we will not even have 100 people, 200 people participating. Because right now you go to Chennai Marathon, 30,000 people, or TCS 10K, there are about 30, 40,000 people. All these events are receiving more and more participation because of the opportunity for them to participate. Doesn't matter. I just come and participate because I am going to run only 5K today, 10K today. Okay, and there are many events that are also organized for charity, right? So the charity, it's only the participation counts. It's not the distance that
Right,
counts.
right, right.
Okay, but if you can also associate that, make that event appealing to a wider range of population. So that's exactly what is going to help the event, right? And then another thing is, I always have this conflict of understanding why there is a general belief system that marathon organizers are conducting events for making money. Okay, so I'm going to kind of break it down.
Right.
So I've been an organizer myself. And then the second problem that I see is, every marathon event is expected to be associated with some kind of charity. This is something that I'm not able to accept. You do not go to a mall, you call the mall owner and say that, okay, tell me, you're running this business, this is a mall that you own this real estate property, there are many shops here, you're making every month money. You tell me what charity you're running this mall for. You don't ask this question. You don't go to a grocery shop owner and say, okay, what charity you're associated with, right? But why is that partiality towards running events? Why do you have to ask a race director what charity you are associating your events to? It is a business for me. For me, it's a business. When I organize Uti Aksham, Bison Aksham, these are my own events I organize because of my passion, my liking towards providing a world-class experience to the runners and their family members if possible. It's a business. If I don't organize this event, let's say if I don't do these events 1 year, so that means I'll have to really think about what are the different ways of
Right.
making money. I have to do something else, right? So this is one of the ways of somebody making money. This is a business for somebody. This is a livelihood for somebody. If a race director is doing 2 events a year, they're putting their entire heart and soul in organizing these events. If they don't organize this event, for some reason the events are cancelled. Now we have seen that happening because of COVID. A lot of people have become bankrupt. A lot of race directors, especially in the US and Europe, and for them it's like they hop from one mountain to another mountain or one city to another city organizing events. If there are no runners, if the government says you cannot organize these events, it's a big loss for them. So their potential of earning money is gone. Their experiences, expertise in organizing sporting events, but the events do not happen. They don't get an opportunity to earn. But now, having said that, it is not acceptable as a race director to have the focus only for one category of people. I cannot say that I'm a race director, I'm going to focus only on full marathoners. So the 5K runners are not paying me enough money, but I'll not take care of it. That is the attitude problem that I mentioned before. When you say you want to make your events world class, make sure you're focusing every single person.
Right.
You cannot ignore a 5K runner, 10K runner, and then remove the water stations and say that the aid station supplies are not enough. Oh, sorry, full marathoners have eaten the aid station supplies. I've seen that even in some large events, the runners who are not finishing the race within the first 5 hours in a full marathon, the last 1 hour they are struggling.
Right.
There is no water bottle, there is no electrolyte. So it is the attitude, right? So it's attitude towards that last person that makes your event world class. Okay. So it is not that everybody wants to make, of course, everybody wants to make money because it's a survival. They're not making a lot of money. I am an organizer. I know exactly how much I spend, how much I make. It is a struggle. We need more and more events happening in this country. The country has got 1.3 billion population. So if it is going to be only one full marathon in every city, you tell me how many people can participate. We need more events, but we need more quality events. We need more race directors who really, they don't have to be run. There is always this tendency that, okay, you have to be a runner to conduct a running event. No, you don't need to be a runner. As a race director, you need project management skills. You need people resource management skills. You need partnering skills. Now, I'm developing this every single day. I need to go and talk to people selling skills. I need to sell my product. I need to sell my race to sponsors. When the sponsors come and support my event, I get money paid. Okay. So there are a lot of skills that are needed right now. If you're saying that, okay, I'm going to survive by conducting an event, and I'm going to make a lot of money. No, that's a very bad idea. I don't think that's correct. The race directors are not making a lot of money by conducting events, but when they see now, who's going to be a loser, you tell me, when they do not deliver an event as promised, who's going to be a loser? They are digging their own grave. So better wake up. You cannot be really focusing on only one section of runners or one section of participants. It is applicable to any sport, any sporting event that is organized in this country. It's not just running.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I meant the same thing that there's nothing against, people earning money from these runs, but when they focus on particular race categories like 5K, 10K, where they are the more, people are, if out of 10,000 people, 80% will be mostly on 5K and 10K, and maybe 20% and in half marathon, 10% hardly maybe in full marathon. So yeah, though I face this general observation, everywhere else. So that's why I want to discuss with you.
Yeah, it's the attitude. It's the attitude. Yeah. I hope race directors learn from this. Otherwise, they're not going to get the same number of participants. They're going to go to some other event. People are not going to, and of course, social media is a great place to learn from, right? So you need to listen to what your runners are telling. My fans, I listen to them all the time. Uti Ultra. By Sinatra. So they finish the race and I talk with them. I conduct interviews with them. I ask them to give me feedback. And of course, it's a different attitude that you need. You need to learn from every single experience. That's really important. And remember the last runners. So it's absolutely important.
Yeah, right. No, I definitely had wonderful experience running your marathon when I was with you, and I was looking forward to run another marathon whenever you'll organize it. Yeah, so I was not a shot at you for sure. It was shot at other people. Like who are, for example, there are people who, like in Bangalore also itself, there are a couple of big runs happening, and you see even them doing this. So that really, that really hurts. Yeah.
No, but see, when I'll tell you, I don't think any race director, any race organizers will specifically instruct their crew to say that, okay, ignore this section of people, right? You're not going to do that. What happens is some of the races they grow out of proportion.
Right.
So first year you see 1,000, second year you see 1,500, third year you see 3,000, fourth year you see 10,000. So there's sudden growth, and it is the organizational skills, right? So it's
Right.
like now if there are going to be 10,000, 20,000 people, how are you going to support all the people? You need to support the infrastructure, you need place, you need equipment, you need people. You need people, right? So people and their attitude are important. If you're going to call a bunch of college kids and tell them that, okay, you're going to volunteer for this event,
Yeah.
you tell me for how many kids I can teach them that they need to take care of the welfare of every single runner. I can teach them probably the 80-20 rule. Plays a big important role there, right? Only 20% of the people are going to take care of 80% of the requirements. Okay, now what about the remaining people? So they are kind of dispassionately connected with the event. For them, it's not. It's like one day I came and I represented. I walk away with them. I don't think any race director gives specific instruction to ignore. It's just that down the line, at the execution level, there is somebody screwing up big time. Okay, either the supplies are incorrect or the supplies are not accounted for. Of course, there are a lot of issues that everybody faces. Yes, of course, it's the attitude of everybody involved matters a lot. You need to be passionately connected with the event. Only then you can deliver a world-class event.
Right. Right. Thanks, sir. Thanks so much for coming on the show. It was wonderful talking to you about all those, various topics, and I'm really looking forward for our next event whenever you'll organize it. And I'm sure all of your friends, all of your students who are working with you, they're also looking forward to run again, like in normal times. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aman, for having me on this show, and I had a great time chatting with you. Spoke about different topics, interesting. Some of them are kind of future-looking ideas, which requires the a lot of support and encouragement from all around us, right? And again, if you're going to develop a good community of sports-loving people, I think that the change will have to come from home.
Right.
The parents will have to take the step. They'll have to kind of embrace a healthier lifestyle, and at the same time you teach the same attitude towards, because if you have to, generally there is an expectation that good learning happens in the school, but unfortunately a lot of important learning happens at home. If the parents attitude is towards healthy lifestyle, kind of happy kind of a lifestyle, and also towards fitness and a combination of everything. The home is a best learning environment. We can always blame and say that infrastructure is not there. The government is not supported. We can always complain, but we still see a lot of athletes becoming, representing the country and coming out of all the odds, and that's because of the support that they get within their home. And there is a dream in the minds of the athlete and also the parents. Everybody dreams along with them, and of course, like to see a transformation happening in this country in terms of the quality and the attitude of how we deliver, let's say, sporting events for that matter. And there is an opportunity for everybody to survive in this world. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Aman.
sir. Thank you so much.